Welcome back to the Leadership Locker. This is Rich. I'm so glad you guys are here to join me. I actually don't even like doing intros because I like to get right to the stories, and this is no exception. Today my guests are Sarah, Nuse, and Megan Reilly, who are co-founders of Tippi Dance. This was just a simple idea where they were teaching kids how to dance, and it grew and grew into franchises, ultimately to about 30 plus franchises across the nation. And with the recent events of this amazing pandemic, they had to kick it to virtual. An amazing success here, and that is being on Shark Tank, swimming with the sharks, and then winning. But it may not be the way you think. So check this episode out. This is an incredible story that's going to give you some insight into how it was going down in season 2 of Shark Tank, how they interacted, how they pitched, how they prepped, all of it. Enjoy it. And don't forget, this is sponsored by Rich Cardona Media, where we believe your value is only going to materialize if you're visible. So you need a content machine, and that's why we film, edit, and distribute content for you, with a very heavy emphasis on LinkedIn, where we can blow you up. Get in touch with us if you want more information at rich@richcardonamedia.com or Eliza, Eliza, at richcardonamedia.com. Enjoy the episode. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Leadership Locker. I have two fantastic guests, and I don't like to do the intros for them, but let's start with you, Sarah, and then you, Megan, and can you please tell us who you are and what you do?
So my name is Sarah Nuse, and I am the CEO of Tippi, which is a dance company that travels all over into preschools and daycare centers. We write our own music, we make our own ballet slippers, we have a little mascot. We're all things little kids, fun, exciting. So that's me.
Megan?
My name is Megan Reilly, and I am the COO of Tippi, and I'm ride or die with Sarah. I mean, we're the CEO and COO. We have, focus every day on building our brand and reaching more kids. We love really bringing women into business, helping them succeed in business, reaching kids through our dance classes. I am married to my husband, Chris. We've got 3 kids. I also have a podcast called Who Is Your Mama that's going to be released this summer. And that's it.
So let's get into something that I think is going to be a great learning experience for the listeners. So whoever would like to at least start with what was going on and where you ended up in terms of being able to present your idea, I'm ready.
All right, well, we were featured on the 2nd season of ABC Shark Tank. Well, we thought we were discovered, honestly. But what turns out is my husband, Adam, sent an application in and didn't tell Megan or I. And so I get a phone call when I'm driving, like carpool, and I remember it was phone call, I answered it, and she said, "Hello, this is Roberta from ABC Shark Tank." And my jaw dropped, and I was like, I can't believe they found us. And so I called Megan. She couldn't believe they found us. So I called my husband. I'm like, Adam, you'll never believe who wants us to be on Shark Tank. And he said, oh, good, I'm glad they got my submission. And I'm like, you didn't tell me this, Adam.
I think it ended up being like 4 or 5 months leading up to us actually being in LA. I think maybe it was a kind of a slow go in the beginning. Like, are we really interested or not? The application process was a bit long.
Do you think they might have lost interest, or were you losing interest because the process was taking?
Oh no, we were never lost interest. We were super pumped. This was 2011 when we were actually in these discussions. Our episode aired early 2012. So we were always into it, but it's like you're dating the cool guy and you just have to like hope they call, and you're like, so it was very much like, are they going to email us back? We don't know. Like, they never tell you anything. Like, you will have this follow-up. You are in. We didn't know we were in until they gave us our flights to LA, really.
Well, let me ask you guys, listen, we didn't know. As you're doing this waiting game, were you reevaluating your business? Like, if someone's coming to visit you at your house, you probably pick up more than usual. Were you guys like, oh my God, our brand colors need to be tight and all this stuff? Like, what was happening in terms of the business?
So we had a process that they took us through. Once we got the application, you weren't a solid deal until you left the Shark Tank. And that's all a wild story all in itself. But so we had to do video submissions. We had to write things down about our business. We had to turn in stuff about our business to make sure that we were actually a legitimate business. And so, yes, I think we wanted it to be really tight, but also what we kept saying is nobody can stump us. It's our own business. So we can't get it wrong, but we did want to be clear. We didn't want to use and like throughout the whole thing. And so we worked on a pitch. And ABC did give us a producer to work with. And so this one over here, Megan, made sure we practiced all the time. And actually, I write in my book, Destined for Greatness, about this experience, about how Megan was really the one to make sure that everything was tight, that we had all the papers. If it was just me by myself, I would have winged it, which is why it's really great in my situation to have Megan as my business partner, because she always make sure we're tight on everything.
Megan, you finally knew you were going. Talk to me about when you got that news and then how fast what the turnaround was.
Yeah, the turnaround was fast. It was like early in the week. We got our flight information for later that week. It might have been even like 2 days. It was very quick. We were told like we had a window of time to kind of block off. So we knew to block these times off, and we knew that could happen. But then you get like, they just would never guarantee anything. So it was like, we will let you know, we will let you know, we will let you know. And the whole time you're working with them. So we got the news. We're like, okay, here we go. So we, there was enough in place. Like, they have you fully prepared so you'd be ready to go, but you just don't really know until you get the call. We get the call. So we get our lives in order. At that point, I didn't have kids. Sarah had kids, so she had a lot more prep, figuring out to do. But we went to, and Sarah was going to miss Halloween with her kids, which I remember that was a big deal because she had little kids. But, it was one of those things where we had this time leading up to it. So we get all of our ducks in a row. We get out to LA, and I mean, we had to get Kinko, like the big boards and things you see. We were at the Kinko's in LA, like right from the airport, to try to figure out what we could get. We'd ordered this ahead of time and had it ready to go. So we have these huge boards. But prior to that, we went to go rent our car, and they only had a smart car, and they were like, is this okay? And we were like, Sarah and I, we were like, sure, that'd be fun, like this tiny little car. And then we have these like huge boards, and we're like, it was like a comedy segment of us trying to get these huge boards with our mascots and all of our characters on them. So, and then we just start working. I mean, Sarah and I, we kept rehearsing. So we would start to meet people, the other contestants there. So they took us to a hotel, and it was kind of fun because like, at the time for us, like we got per diem and they're putting you in a hotel. And so there's this part of us that Sarah and I were like, what's going on? This is so fun. We're really enjoying every bit of it. It was just super exciting and fun. But then we would switch into the mode of let's rehearse, let's go over our numbers. Let's just make sure we feel good about, things. For me, that calms me down if I know I'm prepared. Sarah, I think, was rolling her eyes, but she also knew, like, at this point, like she wants to crush it too. And so once you're at that point, we were both like, let's do this. And we kind of go into our competitive, we're going to come in and we're going to blow it out. And to be perfectly honest, when we met a lot of other contestants, I think they met us and it was kind of like, oh, that's, yeah, always. I mean, that's always like, oh, that's cute. I mean, I was in my 20s. Sarah was, you were
20s probably.
Yeah, you were probably in your 20s too. But it was, sorry. There was no expectation anybody had for us. And so that lights our fire like nobody's business. And so we made sure we were going to blow it out. Not that they would ever know, but we were going to blow it out, and it worked out.
And I would say that they were all super confident in what they were doing. Like, everybody's there believes their business is the best, really, and they should be the top of the top in this. And so there was an air in the room. I remember when we got there, we went to Sony Studios, and we're all, probably 200 of us, are sitting in the Sony Studios, and they straight up asked people, like, stand up and do your pitch in front of everybody. And it's like, oh wow, this is for real. And they were sending people home
That they flew out?
They flew them out and then sent them home like they weren't prepared or whatever. And so I'm so thankful for Megan because we were truly prepared. But what I was amazed at is people really weren't prepared. Some people were not prepared. And the other thing that Megan and I had to do was we wanted kids to dance. Well, we didn't fly any kids out there. We had to hire professional kids. And so we had casting calls. We had never done casting calls. And then we have like 100 adorable kids come and we're like, yes, to all of you. Can we have 100 of them? And so it became like this disaster. And they're like, no, you need 3. And so it was like,
so then you crushed 97 kids' dreams.
Yes, and these parents are there. They're fixing their kids' hair, and we're like hugging them. I mean, that was one of the hardest things that we experienced. And we're like, okay, you're professional. And then they were in one room, we were in another. We're like, we hope you know our stuff. It was just like, it was bizarre and crazy. And then every day we just had to wait. They didn't say like, you're going to go on Friday. They're like, you'll get a call in the morning and we'll let you know if today's your day. It'll be between 1 and 7 days. So in the morning, we didn't get a call, so we went shopping. In the morning, we didn't get a call, so we went to the Lakers game. So this happened, and it was the 7th day that we're finally like, okay, we don't know what's going on, and we finally get the call.
Wow. Is there any part of you that was like, it's the 7th day, there's no chance they're even going to want to listen to us because, you know what I mean? Like, they're exhausted at this point. Like, just hurry up.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, we were there and we had, you know, you kind of develop friendships with these people that you're there with for the week because you're all kind of in this gauntlet of like, what, you know, everyone's gone through similar steps and up to this point, we can't talk about it with anybody, you know? And so it was kind of fun that we kind of developed this camaraderie with a handful of people. And there were people that we would see come back from the Shark Tank. Like, so they went and they came back and they were like, it was not good, you know, or it was good. But they can't say anything. So they're like, it was good. I really like, you know, Barbara or whatever, you know? So, but at no point, like with every day that passed, we were more and more like, oh my gosh, like, cause they at no point made us feel like, don't worry, you'll get in front of the Sharks. They very clearly tell you, you're in LA, that does not mean you'll get in front of the Sharks. And the other thing is they will tell you will get in front of the Sharks, but that does not mean you'll get aired, which is a whole nother thing, you know? So there's so many whittling down points that by the time you actually get on it, it's kind of miraculous, really, to be one of the handful of people that end up getting on it each season.
What was your confidence level going in, aside from the fact that it was like the last day and all that other stuff? Yeah. Were you like, we're going to go in there and just go ham and just crush it? Or were you reluctant?
For me, I didn't feel nervous, I remember. Like, until the doors open, but I believe so firmly in what we do. And so it was just there were so many odd things. Like, once we got to the studio that day that we were told, they said, you know, go to hair and makeup, which was totally fun for us. So we're like loving every moment of it. Sitting in hair and makeup, we're like, oh, this is so fun. So there wasn't nerves, but then they made us sit in our green room and you couldn't come out of your green room. And I mean, Megan's like listening, like I'm not gonna come out of the green room. And I'm like peeking out the door like, so-and-so just went down the hall. You know, like we're just waiting. They said, wait for a knock on the door. And so I would say there was probably a little time in there when we were waiting for the knock on the door and they're like, you're on, that you get that lump in your stomach. But really bringing those kids on was I think a confidence builder for us because you can't be a jerk in front of the kids. So we had the opening line come and the kids, you know, were dancing and immediately the Sharks start smiling. And then I tell you what, Rich, we just bam, we fired it away. We felt so confident. And then we were in the Shark Tank for quite a while. Our episodes, 5 to 7 minutes. But they're asking us questions. So we do get comfortable in there. And so, I feel like really to us, because of the preparation, because we know our business so well, because we believe in what we do so much, there were not as many barriers for us. They couldn't stump us. And we love what we do. And so the hope was that if we got aired, that they wouldn't splice it up so much that it would make it look like a disaster. And there were some things that I'm like, I don't think that went right after that, but it's TV.
At any point, did you feel like they don't respect our business. And, did you get defensive at all?
So I would say it was actually really funny because we go in and we're trying to promote the idea of these DVDs where we have dancing on the DVDs so that so at that point we had 7 franchises, but we weren't in there for franchising. We were in there because we wanted to basically take our classes and put them on video so then we could reach the masses more quickly that way through the digital option, which in 2011 wasn't as it is today. It's very different that many years ago. So as we're in there pitching about these videos, the Sharks are like, wait, you have 7 franchises now? What is going on there? And they were very intrigued in that. And so actually, as we were in front of the Sharks, which I don't know if I think it's actually somewhere, maybe, I don't know, on some clip, I was talking out of the side of my mouth to Sarah, like, ditch the DVDs. Because we wanted a deal, right? So like, it's harder to make us look like idiots on Shark Tank if we, don't make a deal. It's like back to us studying. We knew how the Sharks would react. We knew their families.
Do you still feel that way? There's plenty of people who take deals. Do you still feel like you don't look like an idiot just because you don't get a deal?
No, I don't feel like that at all. But I think, no, definitely not. And it goes over, but we had 1 season to look at. So in that season, it was like, you either got a deal and they made you look really great, or you didn't get a deal and they skewered you, So that was all we had seen. We were season 2, so we had 5 episodes to watch, because even season 1 was shorter than the others. So we definitely wanted to make a deal. And frankly, we were, young, new company, and we were like, let's go. Like, we're open, we're entrepreneur spirit. We're open to stuff. So mid pitch, they are really like, these DVDs are a terrible idea. Don't ever do that. We want to talk about franchising. And so then we're like on our feet, but also like, trying to still be on front of the camera, like, okay, forget it. Like, well, then what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about with franchising? So we were in negotiation. We were talking. We were open to them, and they definitely wanted to shift from DVDs to franchising, and they didn't want us to ever do anything else other than get in the car and go sell franchises, which is the exact opposite of how Sarah and I operate.
I was like, great, whatever you want, that's fine with me. I still believe, even today, talking to you, that we're going to have a children's television show. That's really what I have wanted from day one. And so, I know, not from day one. That was ridiculous to say. When this business started, I just needed money for a car payment. So it's not, but as things have evolved, we just want to entertain kids, and we want to bring joy and light into people's homes. And so when they started shifting, we're like, we can shift too. Megan and I are so flexible with stuff that it's still our business. And so, okay, you don't like DVDs, you might not partner with us on that. And we also were very aware of whatever happened in the Shark Tank, we still had time to think about it. And so we went in, and it was 4th quarter, and it got kind of heated, and we were thriving in that environment, honestly.
Megan, tell me a couple of the questions that you were like, and what? You're like, go ahead, and they asked you, and you were just like, ready.
Yeah. So one of them was, who cares about what about Mr. Kevin's, dance company? Like, why are you guys any different, kind of thing? And, which I was like, well, because since we walked in, we have more customers than we did when we first were here. We're constantly growing. We have figured this out. We're really good with kids. So when I get to rely on our product, I'm like, bring it all day long, because I believe in what we do. Sarah and I have cared about this we poured everything into this, and it's not like something that we think will work. We've seen it work for so many years. Even at that point, we had seen it work for 12 years at that point. So we had no question. Sarah and I started this business teaching dance. Like, we were children ourselves, really, when this started. And so this is in our blood and in our bones. So you can't tell me that there's another dance teacher out there that will give a better class than a Tippy Toes teacher. And I know this comes out. The shark vibes come out. But I just believe so much in our approach, specifically, how Sarah and I are. Now, of course, everybody's different. Every teacher's different, but I believe in our foundation of how we teach, what we believe in, building kids up, making it a positive and fun experience, when that's not always what you see in dance classes. And so put that up against anything, and I'll fight to the death over that. So that was specifically one of the things for me, that when they said, what's the difference? Who cares about this? What about all these, another dance studio? I was like, nope, nobody's going to compare, and we're growing rapidly.
Sarah, so here you guys are. The premise of, or the subject line of this particular episode is partnerships. Tell me what was presented and how it went and how you guys tried to think through it on your feet with limited time.
Okay, so the feedback was good. I remember going into the Shark Tank thinking I really liked Robert, and he was the one that really didn't like us as much. And so he's kind of like, Sarah, do you really think this is going to make me money? Do you really think? And so he kind of backed out early. And then Damon's like, hey, I really like your idea. I just don't think I can help you. And so he was really nice about it.
Do you believe that? Like, when you heard that, are you like, thank you, you're actually doing me a favor by not just trying to invest and partner because you can actually help me?
I believed it, and I felt like he was very vocal with us, like, yeah. And you can get a sense from people. Like Robert was all like, arms crossed, I don't really have time for this. And Damon was still engaged. He was engaged in the conversation. And so I did feel, you see, I tag him on LinkedIn all the time. I'm like, I think you like us. Whether or not you remember us, you really like us, But I would say that right away, Mark Cuban, he stood up for us. Like, he's like, no, wait, listen, they're doing the hardest things that entrepreneurs can do, and it's executing an idea. So I felt right away that he was stepping up to the plate with us. Barbara was like, wait a second, I want a piece of this. And then, Kevin O'Leary, he, wanted to put electric shocks on us, if we ever talked about DVDs again. But the three of them were kind of bantering back and forth. What you don't see on Shark Tank, but what happened to us is Mark said, hey, I really want a deal for you, but you're not offering enough. And so I want you to leave the Shark Tank and come up with an idea of what you want to offer me, and I'll either say yes or no. If you come back and I say no, then you can talk to Barbara and Kevin. But if I say yes, it's a deal right there, and nobody can
negotiate. This is in front of the other sharks?
Right, he says it. So it's not on TV. So Megan and I walk out to the hallway trying to count on our fingers. We're like, we don't know this was the deal we came up with, and we scrambled quickly. We were probably out there, Megan, how long? Like 3 or 4 minutes trying to think of.
Meanwhile, a camera is right there. Like, a camera is right here on us, and we're trying to figure out percentages based on, legitimately, we were counting on our fingers, and I kept covering my mouth because I was like, I do not want this to be aired because I can't count to 10 right now. Because a little bit in that moment, it was like, what? Like, it was crazy. So,
and we hadn't seen that happen before. So we come back in and we say to Mark, and right as we start talking, Barbara's trying to intercept the whole thing. She's like, no, wait. And we say $100,000 for 30%. And then he says, yes. And then I think immediately we're like, dang, that was probably a really good deal for him. And Barbara's like, dang it. And then Megan and I get excited because we're like, hey, we got a deal in the Shark Tank. And so we came out pretty relieved, like, okay, this is good. This is what we wanted. And so then we started working with Mark, trying to work through a contract for about 2 or 3 months. He was very available to us via text or email. He'd get right back to us trying to get our deal closed. However, this is probably where the other piece comes in. Something in our spirit was not sitting right. Possibly the contract would be one thing. It wasn't in our favor at all. And so that's when things started to shift a little bit. So before we signed the dotted line, which actually never happened, we were really wrestling with what to do.
When you have an opportunity like this, how do you identify something that's not appealing just by a feel?
Yeah. In this case for us, it was, we were really trying to work through the contract. So he would help us, he would be available if we had we'd actually talk about a business question here and there. When it came to the contract, we were really dealing with his business associates and attorney. And there were things in that for us, we wrestled with, and we would go back and forth with them and kind of be like, can you adjust this? Can you adjust this? Adjustments would be made. But at the end of the day, for us, there were multiple things that I was not really comfortable with. There was one that made me walk out the door, and that was we could never do anything else other than franchising. You tell that to an entrepreneur, no. that's like taking my soul away. I don't want to go just sign contracts. I want to write music. I want to, help, I don't know what I want to do, but I want to be able to run. There's a lot more that I want to be able to do. And if you take that away from, I felt like if you would have taken that away from Sarah and I, Tippy Toes would have gone downhill, because that's so much of our spirit, is to keep building and keep pushing and find new things and do new, experience new things and bring more, brand awareness in maybe a different way to Tippy Toes. And so when that was a negotiation point that would not bend for us, that we could not do anything else other than go and get franchise agreements signed, that was it. That was a no-go for us. That we couldn't in good faith go forward feeling comfortable with that.
Sarah, how comfortable, when it comes to you two, you guys don't strike me as two people who go back and forth. I feel like you probably feed off each other and are in unison. Was there any part of you that's like, but come on, like, think about it?
No, actually, the weird thing and here's the deal with Megan and I, it's like we think the same thing. We do things different, but we're very much in unison. Really where it was were our husbands. I'm like, babe, I'm feeling something in my spirit. And he's like, I think your spirit's just fine. I think sign the contract. So I call Megan. I'm like, Megan, I'm just not feeling settled. She's like, man, I am not feeling settled either. And then when we realized we were on the same page, we're like having to tell our husbands, the big sports guys, like, hey, this just isn't working. And they were supportive. Adam probably pushed it a little bit harder. Like, are you sure? I think it'd be great. The contract isn't that big of a deal. Hello. It was. But Megan and I, as we always do, arrived at the same spot pretty much in unison.
And Megan, you guys decline, obviously, and you walk away. And was there any moment after, or moments, where you're just like, what have I done?
There wasn't. And you know why? Because when Sarah and I realized that was not the right fit for us, Sarah wrote a really thoughtful, long email to Mark and his team, and just expressing, like, we've gone back and forth, and this, just giving him our heart of, like, this is just not, we just can't, go forward with this based on this contract. And frankly, I think when we sent that, there was a part of Sarah and I both that thought maybe they'll be like, okay, we'll make adjustments, or, and then that was not what happened. There were no adjustments made. There was an email sent back to us from Mark that very clearly indicated his feelings towards our decision to not go forward. And honestly, that email was a gift to us, because it was like, whew, I am glad that is not my partner, because it felt it was abrasive to us, and it felt like he was pissed, and which I maybe I could understand it, because I don't know his perspective, but like, we really were like we really had every intention to make it work. We weren't trying to, back out at the end, but there was not enough give, and we didn't feel right about it. And so when we got that email back, it was clear that was not the right partnership for us.
Sarah, tell me about this email in a little bit more detail, if possible.
So Adam has it framed at his office because he loves it. He's like, y'all rejected Mark Cuban, and he got his feelings hurt. But basically it was like, this is a bunch of BS. You'll never make it in business. I hope you don't treat your other partners the way you're treating me. And
okay. And what was your reaction?
You know what? I celebrated it. I was like, heck yes. I'm so thankful, because had he said, you know what, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I wish you the best. Blah, 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 blah. I think we would have been like, maybe we didn't make it. But when Megan and I don't treat each other that way. And so thinking about bringing him in, and having him already be mad at us, it's like, no, we don't play that game. Megan and I don't get mad at each other. We speak from the heart. He was, but I think it was just very different. And so it was the best, like Megan said, it was a gift to us. And, we laugh about it all the time. We're like, wonder how many companies turn down a billionaire. Well, all right. So.
Megan, how have things gone since then? And then after that, Sarah, I want to talk about how you evaluate the potential for partnerships, or what advice you would give entrepreneurs when evaluating partnerships. Megan.
So we have gone on to continue franchising, and we've actually moved to international franchising as well. So, it's been a joy, and, we've continued to do things the way that we want to do them. So we never have been the type to get a sales team and just go blindly sell franchises, because that's not what we're looking to really build a community of people that believe in what they're doing. So we are very careful and very selective with our franchises, which we will do all day long, and we have no hesitation with that. Moving international has been really exciting, because at the end of the day, we want more kids experiencing the joy of Tippy Toes, and to think that there are kids now all around the world that are going to have that opportunity is thrilling to us. We always say we don't know what else is happening in the rest of their day, but we know for 45 minutes we can bring them joy and fun and light. And so it's really a thrill to be able to know that that's going to happen on a worldwide level. And then more recently, we've pivoted our business to also be a virtual business. So back to those good old DVDs that were such a terrible idea according to all the sharks back in 2011. Now we have shifted to we have virtual classes available, which now allows us to serve anybody, anywhere, anytime. And as in the world we live in, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for it right there at our fingertips. So our franchise owners are thriving. Our brand is growing. We've continued to pump out awesome music albums. We've been on Billboard's top children charts. We've been on iTunes. We've been right at the very top of the iTunes kids charts.
Sarah, so what advice would you give to people evaluating or considering partnerships to help that business or brand get to the next level?
Yeah, I would make sure, like, one of my favorite things about Megan and I is, so we think the same, like we have the same mission, goals, like we parent the same, spouses are not the same, but like we value the same things. And so moving forward, Megan and I always know that we have each other's best interests at heart and best for the company. Also, I would say for me and Tippy Toes, the only person that rivals my work ethic with Tippy Toes is Megan, and I would think she would say the same. And so I know that as I'm running forward as fast as I can, that she's either on my tail or a little bit in front of me running at the same pace. And so I think sometimes when businesses get lopsided, it's somebody always feels like they're pulling all the weight. Somebody feels like they always have, the ideas or doing the work and all that stuff. And so I think really evaluating the buy-in of the business. Like, are you both on the same page? Do you both feel as passionate about it? And then I always say, be quick with task, but slow with people. So get to know the partner that you want to be with. Make sure, like, you don't have to decide today. Like, date him for a while. We basically dated Mark Cuban for a while, and there were certain things that we started getting senses about that just were unsettling. And I believe that God gives us instincts for a reason. So when something kind of nudges you weird, like, start digging into it, because once you start digging into it, it can either be like, oh, it's just a little misunderstanding, or wow, this is something this person really believes in that doesn't line up with me. When you go into a business with somebody, it's a big deal. And then the other thing is, like, I'm big idea person, Megan's details. Like, so having some differences like that, I mean, she helps me immensely, and I hope that I help her immensely. So also having the opposites to pull together to really use your strengths, and then my weaknesses oftentimes are her strengths and vice versa, then we're able to really charge ahead quickly.
Who's good at what, and how should you use that as a point to look for that person or persons that may be able to help you?
Sarah she drives forward at 100 miles an hour and is okay. Actually, Gary Vee uses this. He will juggle 100 balls at once, and he's okay if he drops 20 because he still has 80 going. Without Sarah, I think I would be more likely to juggle 2 balls because I know I wouldn't ever drop anything. And I think that really sums up a lot of how we operate. So Sarah will have a ton of, she's really great ideas, really unique, really, has wonderful ideas. One of her ideas was to change how we did recitals, and that was to move to a 30-minute recital. And that was a huge thing in our business, really. It's a huge selling point. Parents love us for that. But with that, we have to really figure out how to execute it. What does that look like? How are we going to group that? How is that going to be for the venues and things? So then, all the details. And then the other thing for us is we're trying to figure out how is this going to work for our franchise owners. So we don't want to just throw ideas out there without giving them a real clear framework to help them succeed. And so I like that part. I like, okay, we've got this idea. Now, how are we going to make it so that we get the most out of this idea? And so I feel like, I don't know, maybe she picks the lemons and I squeeze them. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I feel like we kind of tried in that way. I'd say that's like one of the most basic differences. I think back to Shark Tank, honestly, if I wasn't in partnership with Sarah, I don't know that I would have done it, because the contract you get from Shark Tank ahead of time is terrifying, and so there are things like that I don't know that I would have ever gone forward with. Now, I don't know, hopefully the hours I made us prepare and recite the thing helped us in the end. But I mean, it's one of those things where you want to know yourself. You've got to be self-aware too, to know where your strengths lie. And I think over communicating where you want to spend your time, and also being able to know yourself and know your partner. If that line of communication is super clear and everyone's talking and everyone's pumping, and I think that's a huge benefit for everyone to be on the same page talking through it.
But where are you guys now, and where can people find you?
So we have 30 franchise owners who now really have multiple franchises. So that's our favorite part of it, is that we do less with more focus, and so we have less owners that then they're doing a lot. They have multiple franchises, so they're able to do really great with that. We have our virtual classes. We have our 6th or 7th album getting ready to come out, and then Megan and I are also trying to expand the brand she has a podcast called Who's Your Mama? I have one called Destined for Greatness. I'm wrapping up a book called Destined for Greatness. And so our goal is just to get out there and impact the lives of kids, impact the lives of women, and allowing people to own their own business. So I really think that this international part is an area that we're going, and so we just expanded internationally, and we have big plans to do that. So you can find us at tippytoesdance.com or Sarah Nuse, Megan Reilly, and we'd be happy to help people navigate, what they're thinking or doing next.
And Megan, where social media platforms are you on, where people could find you? Anything like that you want to share if they want to get in touch?
I'm on LinkedIn, everybody. Thanks to Rich Cardona. If somebody doesn't know what to do, go to Rich Cardona. He will help you immensely. So owning a business for however many years and not being on LinkedIn is ridiculous. So if anyone is listening to this and you want to get into business, get on LinkedIn. It is amazing. And I'm brand new to it, but I'm loving it. Thank you, Rich. But I'm at Megan L. Reilly. It's Reilly. And I'm Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook.
You said you wanted to talk to entrepreneurs. You have an aspiration to help female entrepreneurs. What would that be?
My advice would be embrace your path. Your path is uniquely awesome to you, and that means you have a special skill set that nobody else has. So I think a lot of times we think that I didn't go XYZ, or I'm at home, or I can't do that. You limit yourself. Stop limiting yourself and take action, because that's where it's at. If you're limiting yourself, it will never happen. So believe in yourself and believe in your path and embrace it, and that's really going to be your secret weapon.
I would say for entrepreneurs to know what you want, surround yourself with good people, be good every single day, making small daily deposits, and take action. At the end of the day, you can sit in an idea forever, but if you never take action, you will be robbing the world of the idea that God has planted inside of you. So take action and impact the world.
Everyone, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I did not know a lot of that story going in, which is why I wanted to save it for the episode. So please check them out. And obviously you could find us at richcardonamedia.com and on LinkedIn, Rich Cardona, and everywhere else. So please rate it and review it and share it if you got anything out of it. And we will see you next time. So there you have it. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do me a favor. Review or rate it wherever you see fit. And that kind of feedback is what allows me to push and get better guests, better information, better everything. I appreciate your support more than you could possibly know. So hook me up if you have the time. Otherwise, drop me a line and let me know what you thought. See you next time.